Welcome to Tamer Bowling Video Ball Reviews. Hey Tamer Bowling fans, we are now on Patreon. For exclusive content, please join us at patreon.com/tamerbowling. Today we are testing the new Motiv Trident Abyss. We're testing on a 40-foot medium house shot and a 39-foot PBA Don Carter pattern. First impressions, the Trident Abyss is a strong ball, a very strong ball, too strong of a ball. For value, we gave the Trident Abyss a C-. It's another top shelf snow tire. I'll have to be hard on it as it's simply too much ball to be versatile, so it boxes itself into a corner. Overall, on house shot, we gave the Trident Abyss a C, and on sport shot, we gave it a B. The Abyss is the third ball with a turbulent core, and I will say this, I've always liked this core. Its dynamic motion is very nice with roll, but still good continuation. Not as much of a hook stop motion typically. In this new cover, the ball is one of the most lumbering things I've ever seen. I'm trying to be objective, and the truth is I could never throw this ball in the medium house condition out of box. It really is simply not meant for this condition. However, I have to test on what we normally see. Is that a fair shake? I don't know, perhaps not, but we keep our house shot consistent for fair comparisons. The ball definitely chews through oil, but has no business being on this pattern. It just runs out of steam if you try to give it room, and way too much from in. Move into the house shot flood zone and it kind of confines you to a very limited line. I had a very hard time making this work. It's simply too much ball. But you can see flashes where this ball has the ability to drive down lane, but it really needs to see much more oil than we see in our center. Shawn was next, and he really saw the same issue. Way too much ball for his hand on this pattern, and it was a very fine line to get it to work. And this is why we don't show all strikes, as you wouldn't see what the ball's really about. It's clear that if we had any desire to use this ball on house, we'd have to turn it into a marble, but more on that later. Missing, and this really has no chance to hold. And if you try to give it too much room, it just doesn't have the energy storage to make it back. Next up is Bryan, and lo and behold, it looks much better for him. It's still too much ball, but not so much that it was difficult for him to use. Since he's playing more direct, he can take advantage of the early roll generated for a much better look. In some cases it drove well, and when he gave it more room, it does roll out, but tickles the pins for strikes instead of just leaving buckets. And he's always liked this Trident, as did I, but the Trident was the max I could personally use on house. For him, the Abyss is clearly an option as a step up. Shawn is a new tester to our team, this Shawn anyway, and he's got a higher tilt than Bryan and plays pretty direct as well. For Shawn, it was a little tough to get drive as the ball seems to expend too much energy for him. He had to be pinpoint to find this spot, and then it was just an absolute crush pocket. We did not really have an opportunity to change the surface for the video. However, Shawn did apply polish on it afterwards. It did make it immensely more usable. He did have a very good look with some good scores. So it's definitely amenable to changing the surface. For the sport shot, we're testing on a 39-foot PBA Don Carter pattern, and on sport we saw a better shape, but it's still clear that this is just not enough volume or length to allow this ball to shine. And honest, it really feels like a snow tire. It's an early, heavy rolling piece. This is just not a matchup here. This pattern is playable from in and out, but out would require significant control, and he was even too strong to play there. For Shawn, he saw the same thing. This is, a lot of ball, and it's just unnecessary on this pattern. Bryan was the first of us to really show this ball is playable on this pattern. It may be for a limited time as it chews up the pattern, but he did take advantage of the fact that he doesn't generate lots of side-to-side motion to allow the core to do the work. And finally, Shawn number 2, and for him, it really didn't quite make the same look as Bryan. The ball was getting too long before making the move. Because the ball is too strong to play from the more direct angle he would need to play it at. So quick final thoughts. I know you might be asking, well, why are we testing on these patterns? But the truth is, we're trying to show you what this is going to look like on a house pattern. You know, and depending on your style, you either match up or you won't, or you're going to have to change the surface to make it work. And the truth is, initially I was confounded by Motiv's choice to put another strong solid in their top line next to their Jackal Rising and Jackal Ghost. And this one and the Rising are real snow tires, but the Trident Abyss is definitely a step up. So much so that the test on our house pattern was unusually hard for us, and certainly doesn't allow us to show what the ball's capable on what it's intended for. The Ghost, for example, while being strong, was definitely usable on house, even if you had to get in and wheel it. It just had the energy storage. This is really the reason why the Trident Abyss suffers with scores this time around. Not because it's a bad ball, but it is so strong it becomes very niche. It's just not clear to me how many bowlers can use this ball on their typical house shot without at least shining it up. And if Motiv was going for the strongest ball in the market moniker, they just may have gotten it with the Trident Abyss.
I need to tell you what Tamer Elbaga reviews.